Alright, hi everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of this screencast. We're really going to get into the editing of our digital or our pictures, digital images in this screencast. So before we get started, I just want to kind of show you where I'm at. In my website, I decided to go a different route with my site. So I have redesigned my website, so I've got my pictures, and what I'm going to be doing is starting a business that focuses on creating kind of memory keepsake videos for people who have lost pets or loved ones, things like that. So it's kind of inspired by one of my first dogs that passed away a couple years ago. I built a video, kind of a keepsake video, and my wife shared it with a bunch of people, and they loved it and wanted to. Thought they would want to have one for their own pets. So that's kind of the inspiration behind my site. So I've got my home, about, my contact page. Now this week we are doing either a logo or a digital picture, editing it, and you'll want to make sure that it's related to your site. I decided to go for a logo here, and you can see this logo up here is completely digital, digitally modified, and here is the original, and then here is the final version after I've went through editing the entire thing. So it is. I'm not going to be able to get into all of this. This included quite a few steps, and I used a more advanced program to do it. But I will definitely show you how to get the early stages of doing some digital photo editing. So that I just wanted to share that with you. If you We are going to use a free program for this module and for all our modules. But if you're ever interested in creating your own company logo or organization logo, there's a lot of free sites out there that you can at least create your logo, and they have different images and backgrounds and items that you can use. Now, you'll have to pay for it if you want to download it or anything like that, maybe 20-30 bucks, but it is much cheaper than hiring a graphic designer. But I have a short video here on how to create a company logo and why you want to do it. So make sure you do take a look at that. So let's get started with the editing. For this module, you'll need to have a few things open. One is the scoring guide for the photo editing project. Okay, and that'll tell you everything you need to do to your video to complete it, and I'll walk you through that. You'll need Pixlr editor. Okay, this is a free editor that you can use online. If you have something else that that you're comfortable using or prefer using, or if you have a copy of Photoshop, go for it and use that. I just want to make sure that everybody has access, so I'm going to introduce a free one. But a lot of the photo editors are very similar. Okay, and then you will need the Creative Commons licensing image. Okay, so when you're all finished, we're going to take one of these licenses and attach it to your image. And then finally, we'll make sure that we have your website open, and I'll show you how to submit it both to Weebly and to Blackboard, so that you can get credit. And then the final thing is this digital photo editing changes made form. Okay, it's a Word document, and it's essentially the same as the scoring guide, but what you're going to do is when you make changes to your picture, you're going to explain what you did to make those changes in the document, and then you're going to save it, and you're going to submit it along with the other two, with your original and your modified picture into Blackboard, and that's how you'll get a grade for this project. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm going to first go to Pixlr and the Pixlr editor, and I'm going to open image from my computer. And I've got this picture here. Okay, and now that I've opened it up, I just want to kind of give you a tour of the layout of Pixlr. You'll probably see a navigator, layers, and history boxes on the right hand side over here. Let me get off it and move them around a little bit. You can easily move these around. If for some reason you don't see them, you can either go up here to view and check on navigator, layers, and history, or it may just be hidden, and you might want to just extend your screen a little bit, and they might be just hiding over here. So let's see, I'm going to use the navigator and the layers, and I don't need the history right now. Okay, so I'm gonna just play around with this a little bit. Now this picture comes in and it's showing up. Now what I want to do is first look to see what size is this showing at. Okay, so right here is the pixels that it shows at 4,000 by 2,667. Okay, that's a pretty big file, much bigger than you'll need for your website. So we are going to reduce the size of that after we do some cropping. And you'll see that it's only showing at 15% of my screen. Okay, that means that right now, because it wants to be able to wants me to be able to view everything on the screen, it had to reduce it down to 15% of viewing. So if I were to change it to 100%, which is what you would normally see it at, you can see just how big this picture is. Okay, it's huge. So so I'll make sure that I want to work with it at an appropriate level at first, and then I'm going to shrink my picture down. Okay, so changing the percentage doesn't change the size of the picture. It's just changing the size that you're viewing it at. All right, so this is the important number. We're going to get that down to about 1,000 pixels wide in just a minute here. Okay, but the first thing I want to do is I want to crop my image. Okay, and by cropping it, it means I just want to take out parts that I don't necessarily need. Okay, now some images it's easy. Maybe you have a finger that it was covering partially covering the lens when you took the picture, and you want to crop that out, or maybe there's a person that you want to crop out of the picture. Whatever it is you want to do, you can easily crop out the pieces that you don't want. My picture, I like the picture. I like the way it's framed right now, but I'm just going to crop out maybe some of the edges. So I'll come over here to the left side, and the very first tool is a crop tool. Okay, so I'll click on that, and I can just click and drag around the portions that I want to cut out. Okay, so I clicked and drag, and you see when this comes up, I've got a box 3x3, and without going too much into it, in digital editing and taking pictures, they do something that's called the rule of thirds, where you don't necessarily want to have your main subject right in the middle of either the horizontal or the vertical navigation, but instead you want to try to put them on one of these third cross points. Now the focus should be on the dogs, but since I'm the big person in the picture, I'm going to use myself as the thirds. So I'm going to just drag this over a little bit so that kind of the middle of me is right on the this rule of thirds here. Okay, it's on the rule of thirds here, and it's on the rule of thirds here. Okay, instead of being in the middle. All right. So when I've got that where I like it, I'll double click. Okay, and it cropped it down. It took away all those edges. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to just go back to my digital photo editing changes made form and explain what I did. So I cropped out some of the extra space in the picture that wasn't needed, and followed the okay. So that's that. Now you can see that I cropped out some of it, so my picture is smaller, but it's still way too big. Okay, so I want to resize this picture. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to edit, images and image size. And for the width, I probably need to I'll take it down to 1200. Okay. Now it's important to crop your image, or I'm sorry, to resize your image after you've cropped it. Okay, because if you crop out just a certain part after you've resized it, then your picture might be too small. Okay. Now you can tell that the pixels are much smaller. 1200 is a good size for the web. You could probably even go smaller if you have smaller space that you're using. And now you can see that I'm still at 15%, which is too small because it makes my picture look too small. So I can increase it a little bit. I'll go up to 50% just so that I can view the whole thing. If I were to look at it at 100%, it's still pretty big, but not quite as big. So let's see, I'm going to go down to 75%, no, 60%, yeah, 60% allows me to still see everything. Okay, so resize my image. I resized it to 1200 pixels by 830 pixels. Okay, and the nice thing about resizing in these programs is that when I resize one, it automatically changes the other if I have this constrained proportions. If I were to try to do something like 1000 by 400, then it's going to make it look distorted, right? Not correct. So make sure that when you edit, you keep the constrained proportions on. Okay, so I made some changes, so I want to go and save my work just so that I don't lose it. Okay, so I'll go up to File, Save. Now what you want to make sure that you do for this is follow the formatting that I gave you in the scoring guide and the changes made form. So you want to save your modified version as your first initial plus last name underscore modified, and I gave you an example here. Okay, so I'll just change it to T-Kasicki underscore modified. Okay, and then say OK. Okay, and it'll ask me where I want to save it, and I'll just save it to my desktop. Okay. Now eventually you'll go back, you'll take your original file and you'll rename that so that it says T-Kasicki underscore original, or your initials. So okay, now the next part that you're going to do is you're going to change some adjustments and filters. Okay, so adjustments and filters are up here, and these are really going to make your picture look different. Okay, so I just select posterize, and I could change the level, and all of these have different options to them. Okay, so you can really you're just going to have to play around with these and decide what fits the theme of your project. Let's see, so I'll add some noise here. Okay, so it kind of looks like a painting. Right. But whatever you do, make sure that you mark it down on your changes made form. Okay, everybody's are going to be different. Everyone's going to have a different feel to their picture. So you're going to change at least one filter and one adjustment, and then make sure that you explain it here. Okay, but I can't possibly go into all of them in this video. Now the next thing you're going to do is add a shape. This shape could be for a number of reasons. It could be to put a title of your website. It could be to put your name over it. It could be to put your Creative Commons license on. Whatever you want to do, you're just going to add some sort of shape. Okay, and there's a shape tool over here called the drawing tool. Right, and you've got, when you click on that, you've got some options here. Okay, so you've got rectangle, rounded rectangle, circle, line. All right, I'm going to just choose let's choose the rounded rectangle. And right up here is a nice spot. I'm going to just click and drag, and it changes. Okay, gives me a box there. Okay. Now, before I do that, I need to notice that I cannot move this. Alright, so I'm actually going to undo this because that could cause a problem later on. So instead of just drawing the rectangle right on this layer, this background layer, what I want to do is create a new layer. Okay, and by creating a new layer, it puts the images together. Okay, it puts the different layers together, but then I can manipulate the one layer easier if I have multiple layers. Okay, so I'm going to now take the drawing tool, grab my rounded rectangle, and you see that I have it kind of shows up here. It's got my box here where I can move it around. Okay. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so I am going to click on the move tool and I'm going to move it to where I want it. Okay. And now what I am going to do is I'm going to go down to the text type tool. Okay, and I'm going to type in this area the title of my website. I'm going to center it. You can see that it's not showing up, so I'm going to have to change it to a white color. Let's see. Okay, and now it shows up. And maybe I'll increase the size a little bit. Okay. And you can see that it added another new layer to my image. Okay. Now the nice thing about layers is I can turn them on and off, so I can see how they would look with each other. Okay. So you can easily do that. And then now if I needed to move my my shape around, I make sure that I click on the rectangle layer. Okay, if I want to move my text around, I can click on that. Okay, but I can't click on my shape right now because I'm on my text layer. And you can rename these. Okay, I can double click on it and say it's my shape. And again, remember, go back to your shape and your changes made form and note the changes that you made. Okay. Now the last thing I need to do is I need to grab a Creative Commons license image. Okay, so I've got that. So I've got the Creative Commons licenses here, and I have to decide what do I want to do. Okay, I've made all these changes to my picture. Okay. Now, do I care if anybody can make changes to it? Do I want people to have access to it but not, make money off of it? What do I want to do? Okay. Now, this photo, I don't think anybody's gonna to make money off of it, but I want to make sure that nobody can make money off of it. So if somebody wants to use it, they can use it. They just have to give me attribution, and they can't make any money off of it, but they can make changes. Okay. Now, how I get this to my image is I need to save this image. Okay, to my computer. All right, save it, and then I need to come over back to Pixlr, and I'm going to let me save this first. Okay. It's already saved. And I'm going to open up a new image. So I'll open up my Creative Commons licenses terms. Okay. And I've got both images now. So I want to use the third one down here, attribution, non-commercial. And I'm going to use the marquee tool here. And I'm going to, let's do this, because I want to get it exact. I'm actually going to blow this up to maybe 250. Okay, and it's not going to come in this blurry on my picture. It's just that it just looks that way because I've blown it up so much. Got my marquee tool, and I'm going to highlight, click and drag over the license, and I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to do edit, paste. Okay. And you can see that it created a new layer. I'm going to retitle that Creative Commons. Okay. And it came in kind of small. Okay. A little bit small. I can always shrink my picture down and make this look bigger. I can transform this, and to transform it I would go up to edit, free transform. Okay, and that gives me some handlebars around here. And if it's small, I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay, or if it's too big, I can always shrink it down. But I'll make it a little bit bigger. Yes, I want to apply those changes. And then I just want to move it down to, let's do this corner. Okay. And to get it right where I want, I can use my keyboard to up and down arrows, left and right, to kind of get it pixel at a time. Okay, and so then I would write in here, I'm using Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial. Okay, all right. So that's a little bit of an introduction into layers, and so you can see I've got 4 layers here. I've got the Pets and People Remembered, I've got the Creative Commons that I can turn on and off, I got the shape, and then I've got the background picture, which is going to be locked unless I wanted to double click on it. Okay, and I could actually turn that off too. All right. So that is my modified image. Okay, I'm gonna go and save it one more time. Okay. And I've got my modified image done. I've also got my changes made form that I'm going to save. Okay. All right, and now I've got to go back to Blackboard and submit these things. Okay, so I will go back into Blackboard, and let me shrink this up a little bit. Come down to Digital Photo Editing Project, click on that. Okay. Right. And I want to attach a file, so I'll browse my computer, and I want to do the changes made form. I want to do the T. Kasicki original file. And I want to, since that's a bigger file, it might take a few minutes, and then I want to do the T. Kasicki modified. Okay, so I've got 3 items that I'm going to submit, and I can click on the submit button. Now I won't, because it's gonna, I don't have a grade book, so, but that's how you would submit your project. Now for your website, okay, I've got my my logo there, but if I want to now go and add a different page with my original and my modified picture, so I will go to the Pages tab, okay, and I'm going to click Add, and I'm going to add a standard page. Okay, and I can call this, I'm just going to slide it up here, I'm going to call digital photo. Okay, we might play around with that a little bit more later on, but I'm going to change my header to short header and save and edit. Okay. Now it gives me a blank page. I'm not going to choose a layout this time. Instead, I'm going to use the elements. I'm going to drag over a title element, and I'm going to title it Digital Photo Editing, and then I'm going to drag over 2 image elements. So I'll drag one over, and then to drag the second one over, I'm going to drag it right in front of the first one. And you can kind of see a blue line there. That's going to create a column feature. If I try to drag it below or above, okay, it's going to be one on top of the other. What I want for this project is for you to have them side by side, so I can just drag it and make sure that they're side by side. Okay, now I'll go and I'll get my original. Okay, and I will go and get my modified. Okay, and you can see the two show up side by side, and that will allow me to view them. You'll be able to use them as well. Now, if for some reason you're just using a logo, you don't need to create this digital photo page. Okay, you can I will know, or you can point out that you are using a logo that you created in your banner or something like that, or on your home page. So you don't necessarily need to have this on a separate page. I'm just showing you how to do it in case you do want to do it. Okay, and then again, make sure you publish your site and click on the blue link. Okay, and test it out to make sure that it looks okay. Alright, so that's it for digital photo editing. I know this is kind of a lengthy screencast, but this is one more of the challenging projects that you may do if you don't have any experience with digital photo editing. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you soon. Thanks.